Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Claudia. I make lifestyle journaling and vlog content here on YouTube. It is very nice to meet you. It's very nice to have you here today. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to start habit tracking in your bullet journal. We are going to cover what is habit tracking, the pros and cons of habit tracking. I'm going to share with you some spread ideas, as well as share with you some important tips that you can use in your habit tracking journey. I hope this video can serve as the ultimate habit tracker guide for beginners and beyond. I will be covering an awful lot in this video, so please do check out the timestamps on the play bar as well as the description box if there is something you want to watch specifically. Now, without further ado, let's begin. A habit tracker is a way for you to measure whether or not you've done a habit. The most basic way of habit tracking is to just cross out the day that you've stuck to a habit. It's a method for you to measure, track, quantify, and get feedback on the habits that you are implementing in your life. Habit tracking does take some trial and error, and like the act of habit forming itself, you gotta do it for the long game. Things don't change overnight, results don't pop up after you try something once. Habit tracking is a tool to help you achieve your desired results. And when it comes to getting what you want or becoming the person you want to become, it takes time, consistency, and dedication. If you're debating on whether or not to use a habit tracker, I'd say give it a go. Just try it out, go in with low expectations, but here is a pros and cons list if you really want to know how I feel. The benefits of habit tracking. Number one, depending on the spread you end up making, you can have all your habits on one page in your bullet journal instead of having it all scattered about. Number two, a habit tracker can be a visual cue to remind you to act on your habits. Number three, it can be rewarding and motivating to track your progress and not break the chain. Number four, by the end of the week or the month or however long you are intending to track your habits, you can assess how much you initially planned on doing certain habits and how much you actually ended up doing. This can encourage you to, keep up with these habits and to just push yourself even further, or it can nudge you to change course. Number five, by looking at the pattern of your habit tracker, you are given like this bird's eye view of your performance for that month or week or whatever time period. And then you can get a gauge of like how you were feeling for that certain time period in accordance to the performance of your habits. Number six, it's satisfying to see a pretty filled out habit tracker. It's kind of like looking at a page full of your own writing. You just take a step back and you look at it and you're like, dang. Kind of satisfying. And now we are on to the disadvantages. Number one, you may end up tracking the wrong things or the things that are not useful to you. And this can be because of a multitude of reasons. Like maybe you were being overly ambitious and you wanted to track everything you did. Or perhaps you were influenced by what you saw on social media and so you felt like you had to track what you saw online. Number two, habit tracking can become obsessive and even detrimental to your mental health because now you're no longer actually focusing on implementing the habit and tracking it as you go. It's more about not breaking the chain. And then you get tunnel vision and then you get into this headspace of trying to one up yourself or trying to keep up. And it's an icky feeling. Number three, tracking your habits is actually not enough for you to initiate behavioral change. I know that the habit tracker is a tool to help you achieve these results, but I don't think it's enough. I think forming a habit definitely takes more than just, making an X mark on the days that you do something. Number four, habit tracking can make you feel like a failure. I have definitely felt like a failure when I first started out habit tracking just because I didn't know what I was doing and I was just doing whatever someone else was doing. To be frank, on the days that I don't track my habits, whether it's because I forget or I just don't do those habits, I feel like a complete and utter failure. It's like, why can't I just keep up? And then I start comparing myself to other bullet journalers and it's like, oh, they ended up filling out their entire habit tracker that month. And look at me, there's just a bunch of blank spaces. That must mean I just am a failure. Number five, habit tracking can make you lose sight of the initial purpose of forming the habit and habit tracking itself. This one kind of ties into number two because you get obsessive about filling in your habit tracker instead of actually implementing that habit. Number six, it takes time to set up the spread. And yeah, you might not find this as a con. I kind of do because I'm just quite lazy and I like things to be efficient and minimalist. Not just because it's for the sake of my own mental health, but also because I'm just lazy. And yeah, that was my pros and cons list. For me personally, I have found more cons than pros in habit tracking. For the longest time, I actually did not use a habit tracker because it really did affect my mental health. I was more obsessive about it. I actually didn't end up implementing any of these habits. But at the moment, I've recently reintroduced habit tracking and I have set some ground rules for myself, and it has helped me exponentially. My attitude towards habit tracking is way more laissez-faire. It's so much more laid back. It's not about me keeping up anymore. It's just me just keeping track and just reflecting on it and just seeing how things are. And I only track up to 3 habits. That is my maximum. And I don't chastise myself for not doing a certain habit. It's totally okay. And that's the mindset I've gone with, and that's helped a lot. So how do you start? Well, the first thing you gotta do is define your habits and define the amount of time that you wanna track them. This could be a week, a month, 6 months. I usually do monthly because I have my habit tracker in my monthly log. Now, when it comes to defining the habits you wanna track, I have 3 questions for you that you can ask yourself. Number 1, do I really need to track this habit, or am I just copying off someone else or being overly ambitious or excessive? Number 2, how does this habit help me reach my long-term goals? And number 3, what is my why? Why am I tracking this habit? I hope these questions can help you really define whether or not you should track a certain habit, because I know that feeling when you first discover habit tracking and you see all these spreads online and you're like in this frenzied state of like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to do this too. And then you get kind of like ambitious and you think, I can track these habits too. It's so easy. I'll probably do them every day. And then lo and behold, you're gonna see a blank habit tracker at the end of the month. So I don't want that to happen to you. Just take it slow, take it easy, just do things in small increments and slowly build up when you feel ready. Now, in order to make the most of your habit tracker, I kind of do want to talk to you about how to build a habit, because the habit of tracking your habit is a habit itself. Oh my God. I've said that word so many times. It would be terrible if someone played a drinking game of like, take a shot every time Claudia says habit. I highly recommend that you read the book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Is that how you pronounce his name? Oh my God, I feel so bad. I don't want to butcher it. So let me just search up how to pronounce his name. I hate butchering people's names. I want to learn first before I just say it, so I know I am saying the person's name right, and because they deserve that respect, right? Okay, let me just search it up. Charles Duhigg. Okay, so please do check out the book, The Power of Habit. I read it in 2017, I want to say, and it was really informative on how people build habits, how you break habits, how you form habits, and all that good stuff. But for the sake of brevity in this video, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on the basics of how to build a habit. Essentially, it's a 3-step process. There's the trigger, the behavior, and the reward. The first part is the trigger. It is the cue that tells our brain to go into automatic mode. Number 2 is behavior. It's the physical, mental, and/or emotional response to that trigger. Number 3 is the reward. It's the effect one gets from the behavior that tells our brain whether or not it's worth remembering this habit loop. If it is, and this habit is continually repeated, it will be easier and easier for you to get into that automatic mode, like brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about how you brush your teeth. You don't have to think about when you do it, how you do it, why you do it. You just do it. A way for you to add habits into your life is by habit stacking, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So you just take a current habit that you have, and then you stack on top a behavior on that current habit. That's basically it. So let me just give you some examples. After I wake up, I'll drink a glass of water. When I sit down to have dinner, I will say 3 things I'm grateful for. After I finish my skincare routine, I'll say 3 self-love affirmations in the mirror. It's all about finding that suitable trigger to stack your habit on top of. And if you watch my morning routine video, which I will link in the cards as well as the description box, you'll see that basically this whole morning routine is a set of habits stacked one on top of the other. Now, here are 4 minimalist habit tracker spreads that you can try in your bullet journal. On to voiceover Claudia. Here is my monthly log. If you would love to see how I set this up, please do check out my current bullet journal setup video. So on the right hand side of my monthly log, I have a little habit tracker area, and that is where I just track my 3 habits. And on the days when I do a habit, I will make a little X, as you can see right here. I track my intermittent fasting, my writing, as well as my YouTube uploads. As you can see, so far this month, I have not written at all, and no shame in that. And I've been really busy this month filming a movie and whatnot, so I just don't have any more creative energy to write, and that's okay. But yeah, this is what my monthly log and habit tracker looks like. For the second spread, I will be using my stamps and stamp pad from AliExpress, and I will stamp out my header. Next, I will write out a header for each habit, and then below it, I will just write out the numbers 1 to 31 for the month of August. And then I will just go about doing that for the rest of the habits I am tracking. And here I am underlining each habit so the headers pop out. And that's the habit tracker. On the days you stick to a habit, you just X out that date. For the next spread, I stamped out August habits as the header. So this habit tracker is based by week, even though it's for an entire month. So I just wrote out each week from Monday to Sunday, and I wrote out the dates. And then on the side, I wrote out each habit that I would be tracking. And then I just made the same chart for each week of the month of August. So when you complete a habit, all you do is make a little X mark or a check mark on that certain day. For the next habit tracker, like all the headers I've made so far, I just use my stamp and stamp pad. Next, I'm gonna add a little bit of color to my spread. I'm using my zebra mild liner markers, and I'm creating this little colorful header for each habit that I am tracking. Now, this is the part where I screwed up big time because I don't count dots or squares or any of that. I just sort of wing it as I go, and so I made quite the mistake and I had to fix it. So basically in this habit tracker, each square represents a day of the month. So if you're doing this, make sure you count beforehand so you don't end up whiting out a lot of your work. And yeah, basically I just repeat this sort of square chart for each habit that I intend to track. And this is what the habit tracker looks like. Last but not least, I have a habit tracker idea that is similar to the one that I just showed you. So like the previous habit tracker, I used my zebra mild liner marker to create a little bit of color for the header, and then instead of drawing squares for the dates, I drew circles. So when you complete a habit, all you do is you just color in that circle. And here I am drawing 31 circles for each habit that I am tracking. And this is what it looks like. Now here is a quick flip through so you can see all the habit trackers once more. end this video, I will share with you 4 tips on using a habit tracker in your bullet journal. Number 1, be brutally honest with yourself when it comes to habit tracking. Ask yourself why you want to track a certain habit. Like, why do you want to do it? Is it because you saw what someone else did online? Is it because you actually want to implement this habit into your life? Be honest with yourself, because habit tracking and habit forming are big commitments. Number 2, track less habits. It's not about filling the page with a ton of habits to track. It really isn't. Unless you are the kind of person who doesn't feel the need to track habits to a T and you actually enjoy making the spread itself, then that's awesome. You do you, boo, more credit to ya. But if you really want to form these habits and you want to also track them as well, just track less. Seriously, I can't say that enough. Just do less. And then when you're confident enough, you can build it up. Number 3, find a way to implement checking your habit tracker page. I know that when I had my habit tracker on an entirely different page in my bullet journal, even though I had marked it in my index, I kept forgetting to look at it, and therefore I would stop tracking my habits, even if I did those habits. So I now have my habit tracker on my monthly log, as you saw earlier, and that's a great incentive for me to check on my habit tracker because I go to that page quite often. Number 4, be open to failing. Be open to course correction. Embrace dropping your habits. Embrace not keeping up with them. Embrace seeing an empty habit tracker. These failures are here for you to learn more about yourself, your habits, the way you function, and the habits that you want to implement in your life. Check in with yourself. See what you need to change, add, drop, or tweak so you can make the most of your habit tracker. And that is it. That is the end of my ultimate guide for habit tracking in your bullet journal. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to help support the channel, because every act counts, it really does. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!